You know how they always say, don't judge a book by its cover? Well, today, that's exactly what we're going to do. In this explainer, we're going to deconstruct a single book cover to see how it frames the really complex topic of addiction, all before we've even read a single word. Okay, so here it is. For the next few minutes, this is our entire universe. We don't have any articles, no research papers, nope, just this one single image. Our whole goal here is to unpack every single choice they made, the words, the names, the picture itself, to figure out the story it's telling us long before we'd ever crack it open.
So that brings us to the big question, right? What can this cover really tell us about addiction? I mean, at first glance, it looks like a pretty simple image. But trust me, every little piece of it is a clue, a carefully crafted message aimed at a very specific type of person. So let's start decoding.
All right, first up, let's look at the most obvious thing, the words on the page. This is basically the cover's promise to you, the reader. So what exactly is it offering?
Okay, right off the bat, we get hit with these two powerful words, comprehensive guide. Now, guide is simple enough, right? It sounds practical, something you can follow, but that word comprehensive, that's a much bigger promise. It's signaling real depth. It's telling you this isn't just some light reading. It's a serious, thorough, and authoritative resource. And then the next line builds right on top of that to addiction theory. This phrase is a huge clue. It's laying out the book's intellectual foundation. This tells you straight up, this is not a self-help book full of personal stories. That word theory plants us firmly in an academic world. We're talking about scholarly models and frameworks for understanding addiction.
And then you get the final piece of the title, and counseling techniques. And this is the perfect balance to theory. It's basically saying, hey, we're not just going to talk about the why. We're going to give you the how. And that one little phrase makes this book instantly valuable to people on the front lines. Therapists, counselors, students, anyone who needs real, actionable skills. It's that perfect blend of the academic and the super practical.
Okay, so the cover's made this big promise, right? Comprehensive, but also practical. But who's making that promise? That's where the next layer comes in, and it's all about building credibility. So we see the authors listed right there. By doing that, the book stops being just some anonymous collection of facts and becomes a real piece of work with actual human expertise behind it. You know, Alan A. Cavaiola and Margaret Smith, they aren't just names on a page. They represent accountability. They represent specialized knowledge. It's a huge signal that this is a serious text. And then, look up in the corner, you see that publisher's logo? Routledge. Now, this might not mean much to everyone, but for anyone in the academic world, that R is basically a stamp of approval. It's a major scholarly publisher, and seeing that logo tells you this book has cleared a really high bar for academic rigor. All right, so we've picked apart the words and the symbols of authority. But now let's talk about what might be the most powerful part of this whole cover, the image itself. Just take another second and really look at this photograph. We've got this huge, misty forest. The path forward, it's not totally clear, but you can see light breaking through the trees. Now, for a book about addiction, that's a really specific, maybe even surprising choice. I mean, why a forest? Why not something different? I mean, think about it. How is addiction usually shown in movies or on the news? It's often dark, right? Gritty, urban settings, all focused on crisis and despair. This cover does the complete opposite. It goes for a natural, almost peaceful scene. And what that does is it reframes the whole conversation. It's not about a final crisis, it's about a journey. Yeah, it's a difficult, misty path for sure, but it's a path that's leading toward the light. It's a much more therapeutic and hopeful metaphor. So here's the key takeaway. None of these things, the words, the publisher, the image, exist on their own. They're all working together to send one single, very intentional message. So let's put all the pieces together and see what we've got. When you step back and look at the whole thing, the message becomes crystal clear. That forest image? It's framing recovery as a tough but hopeful journey. The text? It's screaming academic rigor and is aimed squarely at students and professionals. And the whole package? It very intentionally avoids all those negative stereotypes, promising a resource that's both deeply theoretical and super practical. You can see how every single choice here was made on purpose. It really all boils down to this, doesn't it? A book cover is a promise. It's literally the first conversation that book has with you. It sets your expectations, it gets you ready for what's inside. It's the very first clue to the world that's waiting for you on the pages. And that kind of leaves us with one last thing to think about. We just spent all this time unpacking a single image. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it?
How often do these visual shortcuts, on book covers, on news articles, on everything we see, how often do they completely shape our understanding of a complex topic before we've even read a single word?